They're left to do? Well, in the case of Dire Straits, the answer is do it bigger and better than before. And after a 5-year break, Dire Straits has embarked on a tour which will take the group to nearly 30 countries and an expected audience of 7 million. They arrived in Sydney this week for rehearsals, and Richard Wilkins caught up with them yesterday.
Through these fields of destruction, baptisms of fire, I've witnessed your suffering.
The release of the song Brothers in Arms, the melancholy theme of Dire Straits' last world tour, seemed to be the band's way of bringing the curtain down on a phenomenally successful career.
Felt like it was right to stop then. Everybody was knackered, everybody was kind of, seemed a little bit fed up with doing it. Do something different. You know, we all went off and did different projects for a while.
Bass guitarist and original member John Ilsley bought a house in Sydney and recorded his own album, while Mark Knopfler headed for the hills and returned a Notting hillbilly.
You can lead a horse to water, you can make him drink, you'll go your own sweet way.
And then 5 years went by. Somebody said it was 5 years, and it seemed like 15 minutes to me. It just goes to show, you know, when you're having fun, it's a bit different from waiting for a train.
Having pushed the stop button well and truly on Dire Straits after the whole Brothers in Arms tour and the album, what was your motivation for coming back again?
Well, it's what you do. You have to learn. You learn that's what you do. And also, I mean, I get more enjoyment out of this than I get from doing things with other people, or doing film scores, or doing sessions, or producing people. And I just got more fun out of this. And I've written a bunch of tunes, and
loath as he was to step back into the limelight, Knopfler and the band signed on the dotted line, along with a road crew of more than 100 for a tour which will cover nearly 30 countries and be seen by approximately 7 million people. Quite an undertaking for one of rock music's more reclusive characters.
If you're an actor and you found yourself touring a play and you were in some ordinary city on an ordinary day wondering what the hell you were doing, you could look in the mirror and say, well, you know, you wanted to do this job you're so crazy about. You are a professional actor, and you should be happy about that you're working and doing it. And if you're serious about the work, then that's the attitude that you take.
Look at them yo-yos, that's the way you do it. You play the guitar on MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and the chicks free.
The media's been fond of calculating the projected millions this tour will make Mr. Knopfler and co. But according to Mark, the reward now, as always, is presenting the music face-to-face to the fans. Making money has long since lost its novelty.
But that's not the reason why you do it anyway. It's like you'd play for nothing anyway because it's what you've always just what you're in love with. I mean, that's what you do. I mean, you know, it's not. You can only wear one pair of jeans at a time. You know, what's the point? You look like you've been wearing them for a while. Yeah. Well, you're getting a hole in the top of yours as well. You're getting better.
Your lives seem to be planned for the next couple of years till 1993. What next?
We might not get as far as that anyway. We might be tired by then. I suspect it might finish before the end of next year. You know, you might just get it. It depends on whether we're enjoying it or not. If everybody's still enjoying it, then carry on.
Just like anything.
Gentle blues stuff on it.
For Dire Straits, they're on a world tour that will earn them each $33 million. And they last night kicked off the Australian leg at Sydney's Entertainment Centre.
Is anybody home? Calling Elvis. You all know.
That's a great show. Most rock acts have kicked off their Australian tours. Last night, Dire Straits performed on an Aussie stage for the first time in 5 years, while Gloria Estefan is on her first tour down under.
It was a spectacular opening to Dire Straits' Australian tour as they sent a message to a rock legend long gone.
Calling Elvis.
Guitar legend Mark Knopfler and his band of 8 merry men could do no wrong by the capacity crowd, which packed Sydney's entertainment centre to see one of the world's most popular groups.
When the group Dire Straits was in Australia, 1 in 8 Sydney-siders saw them. The album they were promoting at the time, Brothers in Arms, sold 20 million copies worldwide. Dire Straits plays the second of its 4 Brisbane concerts tonight at the Entertainment Centre. But what are the costs and the emotions involved in taking a show of this magnitude on the road? Michael Beattie went backstage.
Now the seats are all empty. Let the roadies take the stage. Pack it up and tear it down. They're the first to come and the last to leave. Working for that minimum wage. They'll set it up in another town.
The songs by Jackson Browne, but the sentiments expressed are those of most musicians on the road. And these roadies work for arguably the top live act in the world, Dire Straits.
This is the best band we've ever brought to Australia by an enormous margin, and certainly the best production. The lighting, I mean, I see a lot of shows by a lot of artists and you get a bit jaundiced sometimes. This show is fantastic.
Started in Dublin in August. Since then, they've played England, Scotland, Holland, Belgium, France, Switzerland and Germany. In fact, the band sold out 43 shows in 12 hours. And the amount of money involved is staggering. One British newspaper wrote that each band member would earn $33 million from the tour. Well, the figure's large, but certainly not that large.
I wish I was managing the band that was making all this money. It would be wonderful.
What sort of quotes have you used?
Well, the most common one is where several tabloid journalists in England took the English ticket price, which was £20, which included, incidentally, a sales tax of 17.5%. Which I see, yeah, they didn't take that off, which I see is becoming an issue here. That was multiplied by the 7 million people we expect to play to. Nothing was removed from that, and it was then divided by the number of band members, and this is where that figure came from. Now, from that assumes 2 things, which I think are important to note. First of all, that the ticket price everywhere in the world is the same. We're charging, what, $40 here plus service charge. In Poland, we would be lucky to get $6. It also assumes that we're going to sell out everywhere, which I don't assume.
And that's not taking into account the expenses involved.